Hello and welcome to Sweet Rides. What a day I've had. I've literally just got off Ducati's Streetfighter v4s 2025. Stick around if you want my first impressions. And I'll be asking the question, is this the perfect bike? So this video is going to be a slightly different format to usual. Reason being, I was contacted by North London Triumph and they just got their brand new RS 1200 Speed Triple demo in. Asked me if I wanted to go for a ride. So I got straight down there. Unfortunately, I could only take the bike out for an hour. That video will be coming out around about the same time as this one. After my ride, I went next door to North London Ducati. They're all part of the Lynn Group. And what do you know, they had the brand new 2025 Streetfighter v4s. And lucky for me, they had it free for an hour. So I've taken that one out as well. So I've ridden two fantastic bikes on the same day, and there will be a comparison video coming out later. So due to the circumstances, today's video won't be as long or as detailed as usual, but hopefully I'll be getting the bike for a longer period at a later date. But this bike made a big impression on me. So, no mucking about, let's get straight out on the ride.
So the engine on this bike is absolutely phenomenal. It makes 214 horsepower and 120 newton meters of torque. And although that sounds crazy, this thing is just so easy to ride. It's docile when you want it to be, cruising throughout towns and at lower speeds, but when you get on faster roads, you open the taps and it just flies. And I don't mean just fast, I mean warp speed. Because of the limited time I had with the bike, I didn't have time to fiddle with the different modes and was in normal road mode for the whole time I had the bike. So I can't imagine how it feels when it's in sport or race. Crazy. All I can say is that from reading what's been updated on this year's bike, it looks like it's the most technologically advanced road bike ever. But what's brilliant about the electronics is that you just don't feel any of what's going on. You just feel like a riding god. The fueling on the bike is incredible. I felt totally connected with the bike straight away, and everything worked just perfectly. Gear changes are the slickest I've ever experienced. That's up and down the gearbox, with and without the quick shifter. This year's bike only weighs 189 kilos and is equipped with the very latest Öhlins EC3 electronic suspension. It's the first bike to feature this, although Triumph Speed Triple RS now features it as well. This bike feels a little more focused than the last model. As soon as I set off, I could tell the bike just felt so much more taut, like a race bike. And I've got to admit, I was expecting a bumpy ride. However, that wasn't the case at all. The suspension felt incredible, stiff when it needed to be, and soft and supple at the right times too. Again, I didn't have time to fiddle with any of the settings, but just looking at the specification sheet, I could imagine you could get this bike to feel exactly how you want. That's if the standard mode settings don't suit your style. The roads I tested the bike on were in awful condition, but the Ducati literally floated over all the bumps and crevices, as if they just weren't there. The bike was really agile, turning and holding the line without a second thought, almost telepathic. I'm used to naked bikes, so the riding position felt great to me. There have been small adjustments on this year's bike. The bars are now 10mm closer to the rider and the foot pegs 10mm further in, providing more comfort with greater ground clearance. However, this bike is based off of the original Panigale, so it started its life as a track-focused bike, whereas the KTM Super Duke and Triumph are designed as standalone nakeds and do offer slightly better levels of comfort, although the Ducati felt fine to me. This bike is laden with more tech than I have time to mention, so all I will say is this: no bike is uncrashable, but this bike has so much advanced technology going on that if you did manage to crash it, you'd have to be an idiot. It has just about every type of safety enhancement you could shake a stick at. If you're interested in this bike, go onto the Ducati website, make yourself a nice hot chocolate and find a comfy chair, because you're going to be there for some time. The electronics on this bike are mind-blowing. Anyway, we've been out here long enough, let's head back.
Okay, so let's talk about desirability. Do motorcycles get any more desirable than Ducatis? Oh, that depends on your opinion. I suppose I'm lucky. I appreciate almost everything on two wheels. But there's no denying, Ducati do make a gorgeous motorcycle. So let's talk about the style and design of this bike. I'm lucky enough to have owned a couple of Ducatis. Personally, I think without doubt, they are stunningly beautiful. Their design team always seem to get it right, and this bike is no exception. The design and lines on this bike are exquisite, but it has a nice touch of aggression too, which I really like. I'm a big fan of the KTM Super Duke, but when I open my garage door, I'd much rather see the Ducati looking back at me. As for the wings, well, you either love them or you hate them. For me, they do reflect what's going on in MotoGP, and they also differentiate it from bikes of the past. So the wings are all good as far as I'm concerned. But the really important thing with this bike is it doesn't just look good. It rides absolutely fantastic. I can honestly say, hand on heart, this is the best bike I've ever ridden. Now, you might think that's a really bold statement to make, but I've got to say, in my 44 years of experience riding, this bike is without doubt the absolute pinnacle. And when I got back from the test ride, the sales guy looked at me and he said, "You look puzzled, what's the problem?" I said, "It's not a problem. I'm just trying to decide which organ I'm going to sell to buy this thing." Okay, let's talk about cost. So as tested, the Ducati Streetfighter v4s is £24,995. Now, whichever way you look at it, that is a lot of money. However, it's also £5,000 less than the Panigale that it's pretty much based on. And it's pretty much the same bike, less a fairing. Now, other bikes in the same category that still interest me are the KTM 1390 Super Duke Evo. Now, that was retailing at £19,599, but it's now discounted
To 16,899.
and that's down to KTM's financial issues, really. The brand new Triumph Speed Triple RS 1200, that's retailing at £17,495, plus an extra £500 for any of the fancy colour schemes. And the old favourite, the Aprilia Tuono Factory. The Aprilia Tuono Factory is retailing at £18,950. So was there anything I didn't like about the bike? Well, unfortunately, it's the same issue I had with the last version. And that's the fact that it doesn't come with cruise control as standard. This is a £25,000 bike. Come on, Ducati, are you actually having a laugh? Now, the previous model, I don't think cruise control was even available for it. This year it is an option. The cruise control is an additional £244. And I think it's a bit like the KTM thing. I think they just have to turn it on. So it's a software thing. Please, 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 Ducati, do not go down that road. Look where it's got KTM. Anyway, needless to say, if I do buy one of these, I'll be negotiating that into the deal. Other issues with the bike? Well, the only other issue really is the price. It's a lot of money. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic machine. But as we spoke about earlier, all the other bikes on my list are considerably less money. And we're talking up to £7,000 less in some cases. Now, all of the other bikes on my list suit my needs perfectly. So I don't really need the Ducati. But as I'm sure you all know, once you get into biking, it's not always about what you need, it's about what you want. And I want that Ducati. So as far as I'm concerned, question at the start of the video, is this bike perfection? Well, right now, with everything else I've ridden, and I've ridden a lot of bikes, I've got to say, for me, at this moment in time, yes, this bike is perfection. Now, as per usual, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ducati North London. Without the loan of these bikes, I wouldn't be able to make these videos. And once again, if you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Sweet Rides.